Alright guys, so I never intend to do any movie reviews and all stuff, for the most part, like take a long review on a movie here that I've watched, but I only get to do that if there's any movies that I have on my Lasers collection that excited me the most. And this one right here that I'm going to do a review on excited me the most. So here you go. Night of the Scarecrow. Let's look at this cover right here. It's one of the most beautiful, gorgeous covers here. With the Scarecrow, the blade, and the light. A terrifying evil is about to be unleashed. Here's the front. Here's the back. It's a Republic Pictures release from 1996, even though the cover says it's 1995. Terror has come home to harvest. Now, going into this movie right here, I was very excited because this looks like a this could be like a really fun, exciting horror movie to watch. And when I watched it, I was right. This one was a lot of fun to watch. Basically, it's about, first off, when the movie starts, basically Claire comes into the town of Washington here, visits his dad, for him, while he does the ceremony and, with the town board meeting and stuff, and he meets this handsome man, Dylan, who I think plays John Meese, and Elizabeth Barone plays as Claire. But they both meet each other. They start to like each other. Then, after that, Claire invites him to dinner, and Dylan meets Claire's family, her cousins, and for dinner. And once they were at the table, they prayed, and they prayed, and for God and anything good that that they did before eating their dinner. So they did that, and and then after that, the Scarecrow comes alive right here, and as a witchcraft, some kind of witchcraft, I would say, forms and turns it into an actual real Scarecrow, as it makes one and all stuff, and after it does, Scarecrow comes out of the cross and kills this person George, who is who came back from dinner and all stuff. George was trapped in a bar and all stuff, and the Scarecrow comes along with this hiker and all stuff, this sharp raker, all that stuff, and traps George. And then this corn, this corn, I don't know what I would call that, but it has sharp needles. It's it's a tractor. Okay, tractor comes, and just tries to kill George in the barn, and then they got her. The family was disappointed that they couldn't get George back, and Claire suddenly likes Dylan still as they go out, and but after that and all, things started gotten worse with the town of Washington as Mephitis, who's in church, the Scarecrow comes and pulls these strings out of his mouth here and puts in Mephitis's mouth to trap him in. He can talk, and gets out of church immediately, and you know. And also one time, I think these two, okay, Danny and Stephanie, they were like hanging out with each other in the tractor, you know, all stuff, and you know, Stephanie, you know, comes out, you know, getting ripped apart from the Scarecrow after Scarecrow put some kind of like straw in her mouth and stuff that made her body and herself rip apart and all. And you know, that seems really freaky, I will say, you know. And also, you know, and eventually Stephanie gets out of tractor with the stuff that's coming out of her body, and she gets trapped in the dirt and buried, and then Danny gets killed by the Scarecrow, you know. And there's murders going on, lots of killing going on, and you know, lots of blood and gore going on, and you know, and all. And you know, they need to try to forget about this for generations, for the past and all stuff, you know. But suddenly, I would say, Thaddeus, sorry, I thought it was Medius, but my bad, it's Thaddeus. But Mayor Goodman, who was hanging out by himself in a house, you know, grabs the phone, but the Scarecrow comes at him and, you know, pushes him, and then, you know, Mayor Goodman just gets killed by Scarecrow as the Scarecrow puts this two swords that are in his body in you know, in the breast, and you know, the man's breast, and the Scarecrow tries to wire the swords into the man's breast and all stuff. I don't know if it's swords or it's some kind of like metal thing that Scarecrow gets at him. And then after that, the Scarecrow wants to know where's my book, and you know, the Mayor Goodman tells him to go fuck yourself. And you know, the Scarecrow comes and puts a corn hay in his arm, and the corn hay, and you know, after that, his whole body, his eyes and his face gets filled up with corn hay and all stuff, and blood comes out too as well, which is probably the best special effect that I've seen in the movie by far. And then after that, Thaddeus, he's not feeling well, and he needs some tea, but he needed to check on Barbara, so he did, and Barbara gets killed by the Scarecrow, and then, you know, the Scarecrow eventually killed Thaddeus too, you know. But the cop, Frank, who's a sheriff at a police department in Washington, he arrested Dylan, faking that Dylan did this, but it was a Scarecrow that did it. So Frank was with Claire trying to find a book up in the attic, and then once Scarecrow comes, the sheriff tries to point the gun and shoot at the Scarecrow, but nothing came out from the Scarecrow. So he went ahead and got like this little thing here, you know, and you know, slapped the Scarecrow using some kind of stick here, like a black stick that a sheriff would use and all stuff. Tried to kill him, but it didn't work. And you know, the Scarecrow eventually chases Claire, and Claire accidentally goes in the police car and has Dylan in it, and you know, once they saw that there's cops outside, they want to know where the sheriff is, and the sheriff is dead, and also, you know, they were gonna arrest him too, but the Scarecrow goes at the car and slashes their tires and all stuff, and slashes them up too, and all that stuff. And those two people were getting chased from the Scarecrow once they were in the cornfield and trying to have the Scarecrow get to them, and all that stuff. There's a lot to go through about this movie, but I will say that the ending was really worth something to believe in, because after all, Claire, she was trapped in some kind of metal electric thing here, by a Scarecrow, which she burnt the Scarecrow on fire at the house at some kind of farm here that's near the cornfield, and the farm goes on, explodes and all stuff, and and there's the Scarecrow who was burnt to death and all stuff, goes and ties Claire up in the electric metal things near the gates and stuff, and he tries to make Claire, I don't know what to say, but, this movie, I won't go on too much about this one here because I've said a lot about it, but this movie is awesome, fantastic, dope, phenomenal, and just overall amazing. And there's some really awesome special effects in this one too, really good practical effects as well in this one here. So if you haven't seen this one, make sure you check it out. It's kind of rare on Laserdisc, so make sure you check out the movie on Retro Macabro or something like that, or Markabo. Unless you can be lucky to find a copy of this one on Laserdisc on VHS. But anyways, this is by far one of my favorite horror movies that I've ever watched this year, along with Hellmaster 2, which is another good one as well. So anyways, Night Scarecrow, 10 out of 10, because it was really fun and really dope and really exciting to watch. So, but anyways, that's my movie review of Night Scarecrow. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great night.